It's okay to play the field. You don't always have to focus on collecting a series. And I had this come up with a client, you know who you are. We were talking about this because he had gone to a coin club meeting and he was asking how to collect ancients. And they said, well, pick an area, pick a series and collect it and focus on it. And I think that's okay on some level. But in my opinion, it's better to collect eclectically than it is to focus in one area. And the reason I say that is if you're looking to buy the best quality you can for the money and hopefully make money or get your money out later, it's better to be eclectic because then you're going to buy the best coins available that you can get at the time. And you'll have a collection that is really much more interesting to the dealer or the auction house because you have somebody brings us a collection and they focus in one area. Let's say they collect only Probus, and there's nothing wrong with collecting Probus. But if somebody brought me 500 Probus coins, I wouldn't necessarily want it. And there'd probably be some great Probus coins in there, but then there'd be some coins that are just okay. And it might be interesting. Now, if you're doing it just for fun and for the education, which you should always just do it for fun and education.
Collect what you want.
But if you're looking to basically have an out plan later, you're going to be much better off going eclectically. I've had clients say to me, Aaron, pick me out a coin out of every sale. This is how much I want to spend, and I want the best coin I can get for the money, and you pick it out. Or give me a couple of choices. And I've done that for a couple of clients, and they've built some amazing collections over the years doing that.
Because you're
instead of saying like, oh, I can only buy 12 Caesars. I can only buy this. I can only buy that.
You're looking at what opportunities are presenting themselves in that moment and buying the best thing for the money then, and not really concerning yourself with the overall picture of how it goes together. And I think that what you're saying is really wise. I think that I've never quite put it that way. I thought of it from a different point of view, but it's really the same advice. And that is that when you collect a bunch of something, you're really targeting on filling holes and filling gaps. And in so doing, you're not always focusing on quality. And so when it comes time to sell, you're going to have a lot of gap filler material that just isn't going to be on everybody's want list. So like with me, it was a big thing when I was a kid to collect by date and mint mark. Everybody wanted one of everything. And I kind of took the path less traveled in that I was a type collector. I wanted one of this kind of coin. I wanted one of this silver dollar. I wanted one of this, and one of this. And what it did was, for me, it made it way more interesting. And it gave me a much more rounded knowledge of, what I was looking at, what I was talking about. But more importantly, when I eventually sold off that collection, when, my kids were born and I needed money for that stuff, it's like what I sold was pretty easy to sell because they were all nice pieces. They weren't great pieces, but they were nice pieces for what they were.
And again, there's nothing wrong with collecting series, but if you have the means to collect a lot of coins, look, if somebody brings me a whole collection of, in fact, when I was talking to a client, we were talking about it, he was going to buy just hectares. Well, hectares aren't really strong right now. And some are strong, some are not. You're going to end up with a lot of coins, like you said, that are fillers because you're going to be searching because you want to collect, right? You want to have that. Part of the fun is the hunt, right? Unless you go theme based, like people who collect architectural, I think is cool because that can cover a lot of different types of coins. You could even collect provincial architectural, which if you think of, there's like 600 cities that were issuing coins in the ancient times. So there's a good chance you're going to get a lot of different territory in that regard. And that's still a series, but at least it's going to cover a lot of ground where it becomes eclectic
way
in
to
a way.
do this.
Right. So I just think when you get too focused in one area, unless you're buying the best of the best, which most of us can't, you're better off being a little bit more eclectic. And maybe you say, well, I like Alexander the Great. Okay, well, then that's fine. Alexander at least is popular, and you can get a lot of different variations and types and things like that. That could be pretty cool, right? But in other areas, if you're only collecting one fraction space, and you have tons of the same thing, I can tell you from a dealer standpoint, we don't always like seeing that. I'm happy to buy them. I'm happy to take them on consignment, but it doesn't make it easy because also if you have an area that maybe a lot of people don't collect, and then all of a sudden you have 300 pieces that hit the market, what do you think is going to happen to those coins? They're going to go down in value.
Well, that was the other thing I was thinking of, is that if you have a bunch of one thing and they discover a horde of them someplace, your collection just took a kick.
or a collection for that matter. We were talking about, that was another dealer, and we were talking about the fact that the Cleopatra and Marc Anthony tetradrams have really come down in price. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's been a lot that have come on the market in the last 5 years. And so a lot of people are satisfied with them right now, right? And so when you don't have the buyers, now what happens? The prices are going to start to come down a bit, and everything goes in cycles, right? And so you just have to make sure you hit the cycle when it's at the right time.
Yeah.
But there could be somebody who has like, oh, I wanted to collect Cleopatra and Marc Anthony, and then they decide, well, I'm going to dump them all right now in an auction. It's going to make a really pretty catalog. But if you don't have the demand there because the market's not right at that moment, nobody needs to buy 5 or 6 Cleopatra and Marc Anthony tetradrams or denarii. They're all the same.
Right.
You just have better quality ones or better strikes. There's not a whole lot of variation, right? And so you don't need to have 10 or 20 of them. You just need one of each denomination.
Quality over quantity.
Right. And so I think you're just better off being very eclectic, whether you could say, well, I only want to buy Greek coins, or I want to buy Byzantine coins, or I only want to buy Roman coins. That's fine, you know. But if it was me as a dealer and as a lover of ancient coins, it's much better to just buy the best that I can get and be as eclectic as possible, because then when somebody's looking for your collection, they're going to see such a variety of cool things. It's going to be much more interesting.